releases from our authors who have learned some key things about parenting and family. Welcome, author Najiyyah Bailey, author LaCora R. White, and author Danielle Davis. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so today parenting is much different than it used to be. And one of the things that we often hear is, well, back in my day or when I was growing up, but now society is moving rapidly. We're dealing with technology, parenting, the psychology of parenting, information. People often say, well, there's no handbook on parenting. Well, yes, there is. It's called the Bible. However, there are some practical wisdom tips that we can receive. Also, different styles of parenting according to who God has entrusted you with. So we'll start here with Najiyyah Bailey. She'll tell you a little bit about her parenting journey, her approach, which is a little different than you might expect.
Yes.
Can you please share?
Sure. My book is called Hannah's Heart, A Believer's Journey Through Infertility. And if you know the word, you know that Hannah so longed to have a child. And me and Hannah we identify with one another. My journey through infertility is an amazing story, but the book is really about faith and about keeping the faith. When you want something from God and you know you heard him promise it to you, but you don't see the manifestation of it, just to give you the strength to get through. That's what my book is about, and I share my personal journey with how God blessed me with 2 children in an unorthodox way when doctors told me that I would not have a child. So it is an amazing story about the power of God and about the power of faith.
Yes, that is absolutely amazing. And just be encouraged, even as she's sharing a little bit of her story. Parenting is not always a physical thing. Mm-hmm. You can be a parent now, and you can be a parent to people who need people just like you. So yes, we commend you for that. We can't wait to hear more about your story. And author LaCora R. White, Supernatural Mom. Please tell us more about that.
Well, the Supernatural Mom was birthed from the whole Super Mom. I have a similar story of infertility, and once God blessed me with my 2 little gifts, I took on this task of being a super mom. I can do this. But then after you really look into what a super mom really is, she's cooking 5-course meals from scratch. Her children are so well behaved, and she looks amazing, and husband is well kept, and she has all her ducks in a row. And that's not real. So in Supernatural Mom, we're kind of destroying the myth of the super mom and letting the moms who are comparing see that we don't need to compare anymore.
Yes.
The only way that we can get this thing done right as mothers is by allowing God into our mothering. We allow him into so many different areas, but we always skip to say, hey, Lord, I need you in this area. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty much what Supernatural Mom is about, and is going through a couple women's journeys, because one of the things that we kind of forget is that there are mothers out there who have not naturally birthed.
Yes.
And we forget about those mothers. And so one of the stories is a testimony from one of the women at our church who I grew up as, oh, that's mother such and such. Mm-hmm. But then I found out, as the Lord told me to interview her, she never birthed any kids. Mm-hmm. God blessed her with twins because her sister passed away, and he said that she was going to raise those kids. So she raised those children and their children's children, and still to this day she's taking in kids and blessing them, and still she's, I think, 83 years old, still taking in people, and we forget about those people. And so in Supernatural Mom, it's just showing that it's not what you think. The super mom thing is not all it's cracked up to be. And we can't do anything unless we allow God to add his super to our natural.
Yes, and we know now, especially with what we deal with in society, you must have supernatural guidance to raise your children. That is such an amazing story. I know that you can't wait to get your hands on a copy of Supernatural Mom. I have mine. You better get yours too. And last but not least, we have author Danielle Davis, who has written Releasing My arrow from a single mom's perspective. Can you please share with us about your book?
Yeah, so my book is part testimony, and then it's also part just dealing with being a single mom. And so part of my story is where I became a believer of Jesus Christ as a teenager, and then after college and all that good jazz, I was introduced to a friend, and I became pregnant in the church. And so there really isn't a whole lot of information or resources that have to deal with that type of stigmatism, you know.
Yes.
So I decided to write a book. And then as my daughter was growing up, and she's had plenty of friends, a lot of her friends were like, I want to be a mom like your mom. And I was like, whoa, I must have done something right. So hence the book.
Yes, and even though it's so amazing to me as we sit here and talk that the subject may be parenting and family, but there's so many different diversities, expressions, ways, circumstances. There are single fathers, there are grandparents who are raising their children, children who need homes. I've even heard there are people who have taken in children and then had to release those children. Even the loss of that. There are parents who have lost children. There are people who have endured miscarriages. So what I'm telling you is there's somebody who you are able to identify that has encouragement for you, that has an answer for you, and you can find yourself, even if you're not a parent yet, the ability to overcome and the ability to endure disappointment, hurt, what other people think. And even when you become a parent, people who want to criticize every move that you make. It is very interesting. So we are so happy that you have released these encouragements and these testimonies and being so transparent with us. And as you know, I have often referred to book publishing as books as book babies.
Yes.
And the publishing process as giving birth. So as mothers, as parents, as people who can relate, can each of you share your parallel, or if that is true, or if I'm making an assumption, is book publishing similar at all to caring for a child or birthing a child? And let's start with author Danielle.
So I'm so glad the midwife was here. So, and ironically, I'm also a registered nurse in a hospital. And the department where I work is mother baby. So this is very, so it was almost prophetic to a degree. But I started this journey back in 2016. And I had stopped because I had gotten afraid of where this journey was going to take me. And I just panicked and I couldn't do it anymore. And so when I picked up that book again for this year, I was determined not to abort my babies.
Yes.
And so I ended up saying that my baby is an elephant baby, because elephants carry their babies for 24 months. So this is very similar. So my book may be little in volume, but it was birthed greatly.
Did you have any difficult labor with your book, author LaCora?
Oh, did I have difficulties? In my testimony, I had experienced not only infertility, but also miscarriages as well. And so I was determined not to miscarry. Oh goodness. That, and the midwife, the case managers, they were absolutely amazing to help and to pushing it through, because there were so many different times where it was like, okay, well, you don't have a voice. Nobody wants to hear this. And when that doubt and that fear came in, and it was just like, okay, then why am I doing this? What is it for? But I was reminded, I had been through that time where I gave up my first fruit, my first miscarriage, that we gave it back. We dedicated that baby back. And I said, I'm not doing that again. He has the best fruit. And so I'm going to continue to nourish this baby. I'm going to, even the analogy of taking your pills when you were supposed to, your prenatals. I had to take my prenatals, and sometimes, I remember with my second child, I had to be on bed rest. Well, I had to be on bed rest and keep on writing to get it out, to birth it out, and no matter what, I just had to stay focused and remember throughout the labor pains, throughout the troubles, that book was going to come forth, and it's going to be whole. It's not going to come before its time. It's not going to cast its fruit before its time. It's going to see this earth. So that's my journey.
Yes. All right, Author Najiyyah, bring it on home. How does this parallel with you having to care for children?
Well, because infertility is such a silent struggle, I hid it for so many years and never shared with anybody. I never imagined I would share with the world that I went through this. But it was very empowering to release and to be able to share that. I have never physically carried children, but I physically birthed this baby.
Yes.
And it was such an experience, just going back and forth and keeping, the enemy just didn't want it to happen. All the time I had to get back to writing, and the midwife just kept us on course. Kept going for our checkups every month. Getting through. That's right. And my family experienced a crisis while I was writing that. It was just, but God, that's all I can say. But I was able to press through it, and the midwife encouraged me. She said, keep going. And I was able to keep writing through the crisis, and we came out as pure gold after that crisis, and we kept moving. And when I got my book in the mail, I kept staring at it, and I said, wow. Look, and I was like, it actually happened, and I admired it like a newborn baby.
Yes.
Experience of holding my newborn baby, but I was able to hold this newborn baby and able to get it out through God, and I knew that it was God telling me to release it. So that's when I wanted to quit. I would remember that I was on a divine assignment, and that I had to finish, and that I had to give birth to this baby, because it was going to bless so many other people.
Yes, this has been so uplifting and enlightening, and I want to say to all of you who say, I don't have time to do it. I have too many responsibilities. I started and I did not finish. You know what? Publishing a book is not going to take the rest of your life. It's just a small period of time when you make a sacrifice. And even as a baby is a newborn, at times they require a little more time than a child who is more dependent, right? So in the beginning, when you're dealing with this, it might take a little more of your time, but eventually it will walk on its own. So we want to encourage you, parent or not, when you have a word that is going to encourage somebody along their journey, you have to release your arrow, as Danielle Davis has told us. You can be a supernatural mom and allow God to add his super to our natural, or you can have a heart like Hannah, who wanted children, and God knows he sets the solitary in families. He knows exactly where we need to be. So with all of that said, let's find out where we can get a copy of these books. Najiyyah?
You can get a copy of Hannah's Heart at www.najiyyahbailey.com. That's NAJIYYAH Bailey.com.
Yes. And author LaCora?
You can get Supernatural Mom, allowing God to add his super to your natural, on Amazon.com. All you have to do is search LaCora White, and that is LAKORA, white like the color. Or you can find me on one of my social media platforms. That is Facebook or Instagram at Tribe Called Mom, or email at tribecalledmom@gmail.com.
All right. And Danielle?
And then you can obtain Releasing My Arrow, Reflections of a Single Mom Raising Her Daughter on Facebook. And my name is Danielle Davis. You can also go to singleparentportal.com. And then you can also check me out on Amazon.com. And then if those aren't choices enough, you can even email me at drsidavis@msn.com.
Well, I think we formed a parenting group today.
Yes.
I have my copies. Make sure that you get yours. Congratulations, and thank you all for joining us. Woohoo! That was great.
Yes.
I smiled through that whole, my cheeks are flipped. 4 o'clock, everyone. Yes.
Let me see if it'll work from here.
Take some.
And if it does, because we're gonna go together. I'm gonna see if this works.
Yes.
I think I'm breathing.
Oh, no, that won't work. Yeah, it's not gonna work. You can't see it. It's too low.
I'll sit here and you two sit there.
Yeah, that's too low. Oh, they're slow going. I mean, maybe you can pull it back.
Oh, good. I saw that light on. I'm like, okay.
Pulling it back.
Okay.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
No, it's still gonna be too low.
Oh, Monica, huh?
Where'd you get this tripod from?
Amazon. Yep, Amazon. I think, oh, goodness gracious. I think this was like 11, and I think maybe this was like either 26 or 36. It wasn't bad at all. So, and it's something because my kids are always, I'm always dance teaching. So this is so awesome. So many times I was just sitting there always propping it up and stuff. So I was like, I'm tired of this. So then now my son, he's 9. So he's like, oh, I have a YouTube channel. I said, no, you don't, but okay. So he likes to use this to record because he's been stealing my phone. Literally. I have so many